Hello, everybody. We are live here on Black Opera Live, September the 7th in the year 2020. Happy Labor Day to everybody. I hope it wasn't just a day off for you. I hope you did something wonderful and productive or ate well or did something. But today, I am so excited to have with me someone really, really special. I've been looking forward to this day for a very, very long time. She is such a dear, wonderful human being and friend, and an incredible artist. And that is the amazing soprano, Miss Latonia Moore. So I'm going to read a little bit about her because if you don't already know, you better ask somebody. Okay, so praised as richly talented by the New York Times. The 2020 and 2021 season sees American soprano Latonia Moore return to the Metropolitan Opera to star as the title role in Michael Mayer's new production of Aida, conducted by music director Yannick Nézet-Séguin, which will also be broadcast to cinemas around the world as part of the Met's Live in HD series. And she will star as Sister Rose in the Ivo van Hove's new production of Dead Man Walking, which will also be broadcast as part of the Met's Live in HD series. Miss Moore will also make her role debut with the Philadelphia Orchestra as Musetta in La Boheme, conducted by Maestro Nézet-Séguin. Miss Moore returned to the Metropolitan Opera in 2019-2020 in that season to sing Serena in the brand new production of Gershwin's Porgy and Bess, which is broadcast as a part of the Met's Live in HD series, and which the New York Times noted she stopped the show. And I can bear witness to that because I was in the house when the show came to a halt, when she came on stage and just blew us away. I could go on and on and on about this diva, but instead, I'm going to give you a little taste of the great Latonia Moore. And when we come back, she'll be right here in the studio with us. See you in a sec. Hello, 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 diva, hello.
Hello. Oh my gosh. Hey, Kenny.
How are you?
I'm doing good. Nice, relaxed, having a good time here in Miami. Staying safe, but it's nice to be here. Nice to be here
You
with
look
you.
gorgeous. You look gorgeous.
Thank you. Thank you.
That Liu was just stunning. When was that? Where was that?
From such a long time ago, actually. It was my debut singing Liu, the first time I'd ever done it. And it was the final performance of that production, which was such a struggle bus for me. But it's such a nice memory for me, even to go back and listen to it, because it was so hard, like everything around it. You know what I mean? So it's so nice to listen to. But it's from 2005, you know, in
Oh wow.
Trieste, in Italy, in a production with Daniel Oren. So I don't know. It kind of makes me crazy to even hear myself, honestly. I always get really nervous when people play clips of me singing, and just to hear it right now makes me really makes my heart beat so much. But you know, I guess I should feel proud, you know, but you know what I mean? It's always weird.
Yeah, it was gorgeous. Oh my goodness. I never heard you sing Liu before. It's absolutely beautiful. That should be one of your staples.
Thank you. I used to sing it a lot, actually. It was my debut at Covent Garden was Liu.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I did it in Covent Garden. I did it in Dresden. I did it a few places, you know. Starting out, thank you, Lisa. Oh my God, Lisa Dalter is my goodness. She's just so fantastic. What a singer. Thank you. Hey, Linda. Oh man, it's so cool to see everybody's things here. I don't really do too many of these online interviews through this StreamYard.com. Is that what this is? And it's
Yes.
so nice. You can see what everybody's saying. Oh my gosh. Hi, Kendra. But anyway, it was such an incredible memory. And I used to sing Liu a lot at the beginning of my career. Also Mimi
Okay.
and Micaela. Also, I sang a lot, you know what I mean? And I didn't start moving into what they call the big girl stuff until a bit later, you know, until I was in my 30s.
And
In
you know,
my
it's
30s, but in my 20s. But I sang that before.
all right. Well, let me back up a bit. Can you tell us about how Latonia Moore got into classical music? Like, where did you grow up? Did you have a musical family? Like, how did all this opera stuff start for you?
I'm from Houston. Initially, I'm from a neighborhood called Trinity Gardens. And then
Okay.
when I was a little bit older, like 8 or 9 years old, we moved to Aldine in North Houston. And no matter where we were, whether we were in Trinity Gardens in Aldine or whatever in Houston, we were all singing. My parents both sang, their parents sang, my
Okay.
siblings all sing. I mean, it's insane. Like, I mean, there's everybody has a good voice. I'm one of five siblings, and
Wow.
everybody can sing. Oof. My oldest sister, Sonia Moore, which a lot of people became acquainted with at the HD broadcast February Porgy and Bess, because she was in the audience. So, you know, her voice was the one that you can hear screaming, screaming, hallelujah, screaming, going wild for everybody. You know, you don't too often people you don't hear them screaming for the cops. They always feel like the cops are the bad guys. Sonya was like going wild, and everybody loved it. I mean, you know, look, I was initially embarrassed, but I'll tell you, a lot of the people from the cast in Porgy, they said we loved it. It was fantastic to have that kind of enthusiasm, and then I was like,
Yeah.
all right, Sonya. So anyway, she's got the voice. Yolanda Moore, she started out in jazz and classical. And that was my first exposure really to singing classical music, was through my second sister, Yolanda, because she brought home all these classical books, 24 Italian art songs, German lieder, things like that. And I started to look in it. I'd say I was about 10,
Oh wow.
you know, when I started looking at her books. Yeah, I was about 10. See, that's a lot. That's something that I don't bring up very often. I don't know why, because that was the first time I remember looking at those books. And she had a keyboard. I started training my ear. I started trying to teaching myself how to read music. It was really wild, because not too many people in my family actually read music.
Okay.
You know, everybody, they just sing, you know, they learn whatever they learn by rote, you know what I
Yes.
mean? And I mean, I appreciate that for sure. You know what I mean? But I don't know, as early as I remember, when I saw music, I wanted to be able to read it. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Especially from then. She also started doing jazz not too long after that, you know, so she would bring home fake books full of
Okay.
all the jazz standards and stuff. She'd bring home tapes of Ella Fitzgerald, Sarah Vaughan,
Oh. Oh.
Dinah Washington, you know what I mean? Anita O'Day, Diane Shure. You know what I
Oh,
mean? You name it. She brought in all the good stuff. And so I was very attracted to that kind of music initially through her. So when I went to junior high school and went to high school, I was doing jazz. I was doing classical music. I was in the Texas All State Choir, 4 years first year, honey. I'm so proud of that. I worked my
wow.
ass off for that. Let me tell you, I was always practicing because the really cool thing about the Texas All State Choir is it's a blind audition, which I've always
Oh,
loved. They can't see me, which is why I loved it. I was like, I'm first year, I earned it. You know, I felt so good. It felt great, I
wow.
have to say. They did blind auditions. So half of the audition is they would give you excerpts from different works. One thing we had to do my sophomore year was the Mozart Requiem. So we had a clip from the second movement Kyrie. Then we had to do a little bit of the Ostias from the offertory or something like that, and they would just give us these little clips. The other half of the audition, though, was sight reading,
Dum dum
which
dum.
is yes, honey, which is the only reason why I was always first chair because I was like, oh, I've been sight reading since I was 10 with Yolanda's books. This is nothing to me. All I do is sight read all the time. So that's why I really won out a lot in high school is my ability to learn music very quickly because I could sight read anything. You know, I really could. It was
Wow.
wild. You know, but I trained myself early, just nerd style. I mean, all that pushed me was my sister bringing home those books.
Mm, that's fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So from high school, where did you go? Did you go to a conservatory or a school of music at a liberal arts college? What was next?
Well, for high school, I stayed home for one semester so I could earn enough money to go to school because I didn't get any scholarship. Well, I got a partial scholarship to go to Westminster Choir College, but
Okay.
the rest of it was so expensive that, I mean, me and my family, we couldn't afford it. I mean, it was just wildly expensive. So in the end, I couldn't go. I saved my money, went to University of North Texas so that I could be a jazz vocal major. I knew I could do choir on the side because
Yeah.
by this point, I hadn't really thought I was going to be an opera singer. I had been exposed to opera before that point in 1995, which was my junior year of high school, and I saw Porgy and Bess at Houston Grand Opera, actually. And I thought it was so fantastic
Wow.
because to me, I was already a jazz singer at that point, heavy into doing jazz, you know,
Yeah.
and it was the best of both worlds to me. I was just like, this is amazing because I was already familiar with Summertime. I got plenty of Nothing I'd already heard. It ain't necessarily so. I think I might have
Yeah.
sung for sure and did Summertime for sure. So, I mean, to me, it was fantastic, but I didn't know if I could really take the plunge all the way into opera. So I got to North Texas as a jazz major. I joined the opera chorus as a lab credit to try it out. Okay. And I fell in love. They were doing Pagliacci, and I
Oh,
was, just one of the villagers singing mezzo in the chorus. Oh my God. I just loved it. I loved that we were actual characters in the chorus. And I was
yeah.
obsessed with the Neda, who was Dana Beth Miller, who's a mezzo
Oh,
now.
wow. I know
But
Dana Beth.
she,
Yeah.
yes, I was obsessed with her. I mean, she was an amazing singing actress. I mean, what a nice first person to be under, I have to say, because her face was so amazing and just the way she was singing. I mean, and the voice would just fall out of her mouth. She was so young, like 23, something like that, but
Wow.
just fantastic. And I said, I gotta be like her. I want to be like her. I want to do that. I don't want to be in the chorus. I want to do what
Right.
she's doing. I want to be Neda. I want to be able to, be in this acting troupe and do all this cool stuff. I did get to do Neda once, but it was in concert. But it
Uh-huh.
didn't matter. I still thought I was Neda. Like I got like these curly braids, crochet braids in my hair that was like fiery red. Like I just decided. But just a fantastic opera, so fantastic that it was enough for me to switch my major by the end of that
Wow.
semester. Yeah, went to a new voice teacher, Dr. Patty Johnstone, who I just adored, 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 and she adored me. And I mean, we were just ready. You know what I mean? I was just like, she wanted to mold me. She was like, "You're not a mezzo, you're a soprano. Throw that out the window. You are a
Right.
soprano. Let's do work." And from there, just months later, I did my first role, Suor Angelica, at
Wow.
19 years old. Dang, I should find a picture so I can flash it. But I mean, wow,
Wow.
I was so young. You could see my little rabbit teeth technique, looking Wanda, like Wanda from In Living Color. Just getting it out there, teeth, teeth, teeth. But I mean, just absolutely. I remember I was so terrified. The fire alarm randomly went off twice while we were doing the show. It was just so terrible. And there are 3 high C's in Swan Angelica. Okay.
Big ones.
I got one of them that night. One. I mean, look, I am no stranger to high C fear. I mean, I fear the high C like any soprano does. I know it's ironic. I'm known for Aida, but still, we all know it's treacherous. Okay, so, I remember the first C just did not come out of my mouth. I was like, rah! Nothing came out. I said, okay, that can't happen again. So I went, the next one is an offstage C.
Yes.
I grabbed onto something. I was like, I was like, I'm getting this C out no matter what. I'm squeezing my cheeks. Nobody has to see it. I'm off stage. This is happening. Yes. And so I did it. I was like, I nailed one of them. So I was like, that means I can get the last C. And I was like, oh, nope, it did not come out. And then the fire alarm went out. Once again, fire alarm goes off. It was such a disaster, but at the same time, not. It was my first time doing a role ever. I was like, okay, something's bound to go wrong because I'm such a pessimist when it comes to things like that.
I mean, what a way to start out with such a role. Like when I first heard you, I was like, I want to hear her sing for Angelica. Like I had no idea that you had sung it.
Really? Oh my God, really?
Oh my God.
I would love to sing Angelica again. It's so good. I mean, now the high C's singing Angelica are not nearly as hard after you've had to deal with, other high C's that are way harder to approach. Honestly.
Exactly. So then, okay, so you go from University of North Texas, then what?
I went from the University of North Texas and I dropped everything and I moved up to Philadelphia. Now,
my hometown.
Yes, honey. I mean, look, and I'm sorry. Yes, I know I was born and raised in Houston, but Philly is my city. I mean, I consider myself a Philadelphian to the end. It's just terrible. So sorry, y'all. I'm a Texas Philadelphian, but a Philadelphian nonetheless, because that is where I became an adult, where I did all of my real growing up. Because before that, I felt like just an infant walking around with a good talent, but didn't know how to act. I'll tell you that. Oh man, we were roughhousing. Me and Jesus Garcia, we go knocking over trash cans, cutting up, acting crazy in public, going to Walmart, knocking over the Tickle Me Elmo displays for kicks. Now, if YouTube was rocking back then, we would have been rocking it. We would have, you know what I mean? But we were always doing stuff like that, just shenanigans. But then when I moved to Philly, we were still doing shenanigans. I mean, stuff that I shouldn't say on air, but shenanigans. But definitely more mature. Anyway, I moved to Philly. I had not much money. I lived at Broad and Olney with a sweet little woman who shared her house with me. And I just did what I could to make money. So initially I started working at the Victor Cafe, waiting the tables, you know what I mean? But bussing tables basically. And, then you get up and you sing an aria. Oh, they were like, oh my God, is the girl that cries all the time? Is she going to sing tonight? So, because I would go up, carrying my trays of food, the sauce is spilling on me from the Prince Igor because all the dishes are operatically named. I mean, that about the dishes at the Victor?
Yes.
Okay, so the Prince Igor sauce is like spilling on me and stuff. I'm like, crying. They're like, okay, get up there and sing, I'm making it sound much worse than it was. I'm like, they're like, get up there and sing, pop, because that's what it felt like. Okay.
Wow.
I really felt like, oh God. So I'd be like, with the tears. They're like, it felt so real. I'm like, it was.
It was.
You know what I mean? I'm really crying. I hate working here. And I did, but I loved it because it was an opportunity to just get up all the time and sing through arias. Through anything. They had like a pre-recorded track and stuff, and it was amazing. And I mean, some incredible voices. A lot of people that went to AVA, that went to Curtis, that ended up going to school in New York, you know what I mean? Singing and lead roles in the choruses and, everything, really, really incredible Philadelphia for the music scene, I have to say. Yes, really, really wonderful. So yes, I mean, I really, really think it is. And I just, I love Philly all day. Anyway, I first lived at Broad and Olney.
I live not too far from Broad and Hunting Park. That's where I grew up.
Oh, really? Yeah. I used to pass it on the subway in the orange line going up.
Yep.
Take that Broad Street line. So yeah, that's what I did before. So I said, I'm just gonna do competitions, you know what I mean? Start rocking it, do whatever I can. I need to win everything. Jesus was the same way. I mean, he was my boy. Jesus, of course, ended up going to do Bohème on Broadway.
With me.
He ended up, yes, but we were all about it. We were like, we have to do the competitions. We have to get ourselves out there, try to do side gigs. We need a side hustle, while we're here. And he's like, especially you, because you're not even in school. I mean, I wasn't at ABA by that point, and he was. So what I used to do, I did all the competitions. I won almost everything I did. Thank God, because I needed the money so bad to pay my little rent. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I was like, I got to get out of the Victor Cafe. You know what I mean? Oh my God. But I used to sneak into AVA before I was a student there. I would just kind of walk in with Jesus and like sometimes just go hide in the balcony and watch people come in and practice and listen to how amazing they were and watch them get coached. I mean, it's so totally illegal. I mean, I shouldn't be saying that I did it because that's totally what I did. I would sneak in there.
Wow.
I remember I was in there to hear Indra Thomas sing. She was singing an audition. I don't know
Indra.
if it was for a manager or something like that, but she was singing like 2KDGL, and I was like, I was peeking over the balcony. The little eyes like poking out. Oh my God. I was such a nerd. And then I got to the point where I got really bold and I would sit in on people's coachings and sit in on the group rehearsals for Così fan tutte. I'd be sitting in the corner on the floor. And Christopher
Wow.
McAtsoris, the maestro there, he's just like, what are you doing? Who are you? Who let this person in? I'm just like, I'm Latonia Moore. I'm a singer too. I'm hoping to go here, from the floor, like a silly person with a backpack on, flip flops, just not the AVA type. But I just used to sneak in there, and a part of me thinks that they really loved it because, look, I mean, technically they should have been throwing me out of there. Anybody else come walking in there, they get the
Right.
big old heave ho. But I mean, obviously, I'm a singer. I had already been coaching with David Lofton too. I started coaching with him because I said,
David.
David, I've got to do these competitions. I got to whip these arias. Oh, Dove Sono, I don't know. Oh, maybe 5 coachings later we had it. You know what I mean? I was like, I got him burning. Like it just he was such a stickler for these correct vowels and technically being in the exact right spot. And I'm like, oh God, it drove me insane, but it won me the Met auditions. It sure did.
Wow.
It's the reason I won. Even I remember talking to Jonathan Friend not too long ago to Ken Noda, and they both said, the reason you won wasn't really the Dupuis Le Jour. It was beautiful. They said the reason you won was the Dove Sono. And I was like, David, I love you.
Wow.
I was like, I wanted to cuss him out in those coachings, but it was totally worth it. He did exactly what he needed to do. Nothing has changed. Brian knows. Brian Major, he's saying, then nothing's changed with David, that he's still like that. I love that. These coaches that you just hate them because of their attention to detail, but in the end, you know that that's what you need. So you
Right.
love them. You love them deep. You need it because so many coaches and so many teachers are not honest, are they? They just let a million things slide. And, if you ask if it's wrong, even they say, oh no, keep coming back. It's, you know what I
Keep
mean? But
paying me.
David will tell you, he's like flat, sing mm-mm, over and over and over. It's what you pay him
See,
for. This is what
and
this is what you
listen,
need.
and folks these days would crumble and fall to pieces if a coach did or made them work that hard. They would fall to pieces.
Oh yeah, fall to pieces. And let me tell you, having to go through things like that at AVA from him, from Daniel Orlando, oh my goodness, from Chris McInsoris, from all of them, just Laurent Philippe for sheer stamina. It used to drive me crazy. I needed everybody. I needed Richard Raub. I needed all the coaches because it prepared me for the clip that you just heard, which was with Daniel Oren. And he's a difficult maestro to work with. And he
Yeah.
gave me hell. He gave me hell, 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 hell. I wanted to cry all the time. But in the end, I'm glad that I stuck it out, that I kept my emotions in check. You know what I mean? And I was like, God, thank God I had that training from AVA. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Because that school will toughen your skin like nothing else I know.
Now, how
I
long were
mean, it
you
will
at?
toughen your skin.
How long were you there?
For 4 years. I was there for
Okay.
4 years. When I was there, I did about 7 lead roles. Good stuff that I could use too. I did Countess,
Wow.
Mary Figaro. I did Mimi. I did Dona Elvira and Giovanni. I did Marguerite and Faust. I did Lucrezia
Mhm.
Borgia. I did Edgar, which I ended up doing later. Thank goodness, it became a signature thing for me.
Yeah.
I did my first role there was Belinda in Dido and Aeneas. Shake the cloud from off your brow,
I love that
honey.
opera so
Yes,
much.
right. It actually, I love it too. I mean, I didn't know how I felt about doing that part, but in the end, I was like, this music, it
Oh my
just does
God.
something to you to hear this early music, to hear that harpsichord and this little chamber orchestra just, oh, it's the tiniest violin almost sort of feeling.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, oh,
Listen, that final chorus makes me cry every time. That with drooping wings, it
that
takes
with
me out every time.
drooping wings.
Have
It's
mercy. It's so
beautiful. Oh,
gorgeous. It's so gorgeous.
I would
So
love to see that done again with, I don't know who sings Dido these days, but I'll pay for that ticket. Believe me. I would love to see a beautiful production of Dido again.
yeah, she's a queen. So let it be. Let me call Janae and tell her to learn, or Christy Swan, or somebody.
Yes.
That would be gorgeous,
Absolutely.
right?
Yes.
Amazing. So now that we've talked a little bit about AVA, I'm gonna give y'all some evidence of what Miss Moore was just talking about. Stay tuned.
Ma con me soffri dei spettacolo funesto agli occhi miei. Il padre mio, caro padre, all'assassino nel trucido. Quel sangue, quella piaga, tutto coperto del color di morte. E non respira più, freddo che membra. Padre mio, padre amato.
Girl, you better sing. You bet to sing. It's so
Hello?
beautiful. My gosh. Can you hear me?
I can't
Can you
hear
hear me?
you.
I can hear you though. Can you hear me?
Uh-oh.
Did you mess
Let's
with
see
your
what I need to
headphones?
do.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Mm,
Uh-oh. Well, we lost her. Oh my goodness. She'll be back. We'll figure it out. She'll be back. She'll be back. She'll be back. So, as some of you may know out there, there's a little concert that's happening next week, next Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And it is what we call JN75, the 75th birthday celebration for the late, great Jesse Norman. And I hope you will get your tickets. You can go to blackopera.film.com and get your tickets, because you don't want to be one of those people that said, oh, I wish I had, I wish I had, I wish I had. So next Tuesday at 6 p.m., you're going to see and experience the gala of the season. And here is a little taste.
Hello, I'm Janae Bridges.
I'm Damian Sneed.
Hi, I'm Justin Austin.
I'm Karen Slack.
I'm Chauncey Packer.
I'm Sydney Outlaw. Join me for Jesse Norman at 75
On September 15th.
Presented in support of the Jesse Norman Estate
and Black Opera, the film.
Featuring performances and dedications from Laverne Cox, Anna DeVere Smith, Damian Sneed, Janae Bridges, Darren Walker, Denise Graves, Simon Estes, Audrey Dubois Harris, Martina Arroyo, Misha Brugger-Gosman, Dance Theater of Harlem, Michael Tilson Thomas, Gloria Steinem, and so many more.
To learn more, please visit blackoperafilm.com.
You back, Dale? Can you hear me now?
Yes. Rule of thumb, don't press every button because I was like, I need to figure something out and how I can get this to work. But pressing every button didn't work. We're back.
We are back. I know how to tap dance now around here and go to commercial real quick. I got you back, baby.
Thank God you're a pro.
Listen, I'm working on it. This is a big learning curve for everybody out here in these virtual streets. But can we talk about that Mozart? Like, okay, so I'm gonna just show some of the comments that came up when the Mozart was happening. When the Mozart was happening. Listen, you sang that Mozart. Now, I want to. It might get me in a little bit of trouble, but that's all right. It's good trouble, like John Lewis. They get in good trouble. I like a more supple, full, round voice in Mozart, and I want to see a whole Giovanni production with you as Donna Anna, because in the age of singing that I enjoy, people like Leontine Price and Martina Arroyo and even Birgit Nilsson saying Donna Anna. Now they got these little girls who are like Zerlina at best trying to sing Donna Anna. So I appreciate the fact that you embraced that Mozart and sang it with your voice.
Oh, yes. Thank you. I mean, I tell you what, there's pretty much no other way I could do it, but I feel like people do tend to cast lighter in general, not just with something like, Mozart, in general they do. But with the Donna Annas I tell you what, the only advantage to casting it lighter is those ensembles are like cake for a light voice. That Act 2 sextet with Leporello. Woohoo! That can be something else in the role of Donna Anna. I mean, that tessitura, it's relentless, I have to tell you. Something like Orsai Kilonore is deceptive because it sounds like it's so difficult to sing, but it's not nearly as hard. Somehow it sits in a nice pocket. Getting ups to A is really nice and clean, and it's really, really great. And if there's anything that's going to slap anybody back into shape, regardless of what the color of your voice or what the size of it is, Mozart will do it. So, I'm a big fan of it. I've been working on Donna Anna even now.
Good for you.
And that clip was actually from 7 years ago. Was that clip?
Good for you. See, Mozart will keep you honest, and he will expose any sort of trickery you try to get over with.
Oh yeah, he's always exposing me, man. All the time. You know me, I try to skirt the rules way too often.
So
which you'll hear in the next clip.
No, listen, that next clip, I almost broke my computer. Y'all wait till y'all hear this next clip. I got this next clip, and just so that everybody out there knows, I ask all my guests to submit the clips that they want. So I don't go and pick it out myself. I ask each one of them, send me what you want me to play, and my team edits it down for the broadcast for what you saw tonight. So I'm grateful that you shared that Mozart with us. Grateful.
Yes, I chose these specific clips, of course, because of how spaced out they are. The first one was from 2005. This one from 2013. And so the next one was from just last year. So, but my favorite quote of all time, if anybody, when they friend me on Facebook, if you ever bother to look at like favorite quotations or favorite food and all that kind of okay, you can scroll through mine and you see that my favorite quote is this. And this is what I thought about when you asked me to do these clips is, the older I get, the better I was. Yes. And let me tell you, rings true in such a big way. I mean, in some ways, definitely not. But you know what I mean. You think about
Yeah.
people, think about like old school, right? They used to have people making their debuts at very young ages. You would see,
Hmm.
you know, I think Albanese making her debut at 19, Sculptor like 21. You know what I mean? Like you'd see these insane ages, but think about how fresh your throat is then,
Yeah.
right? When you think
And
about shit is
and
James.
you're
Let me
fearless.
tell you, you're fearless. You know, it's funny because you set up what I was about to say.
Uh-huh.
When I was at AVA for my graduation recital in 2004, I chose to do on my recital. Well, it was the graduation recitals with everybody, but for the end of it, I did the Vicino a Te from Andre Chenier, the
Yep.
duet with James Valenti. Okay. And I
James.
mean, too young. We were too young to be singing this, you know, in our early mid days. I mean, just going. Okay, so he sent me a clip of it. I think it was at the end of last year. He said, you know, you got to hear this. You know, I love you. I just want you to hear this. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it. It's so long ago. But I mean, fearless, like you say. I mean, this is what we did. I remember we would go in the practice room. I remember I go in there with Marcus Beam in the practice room, just chilling, singing through stuff. He's like, we're gonna sing through Turandot today. I was like, what? All right, awesome. He's like, no, you're gonna sing Turandot. He was like play the chords, play the D major chord, and I think I sang through the whole row. It was really insane. But
Wow.
yeah, when you're young, your throat can just do so much. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, of course, that's to your detriment a lot of the times if you want to have a long career. Because if you start doing that too soon, then you can only get heavier, they say. It's really difficult to go the other way. I know that from experience. You know, I mean, something like
Yeah.
Liu would love to be singing, but once you cross a certain line, you know what I mean? It's really hard for a casting, you know, director to go, you know, sure, we'll go ahead and have her as Liu, even though somebody just cast her as Ziglinda, you know? How can you go back? You know? Not that I've done Ziglinda, but I've been cast for it, you know?
Wow.
So
Amazing.
not coming
Amazing.
up. I mean, in the past, I didn't end up doing it, but you know, but you know what I mean. It's really hard
Yes.
once they get Aida in their heads. You know, very rarely do they think, "Wow, Liu,"
Yeah.
in the same breath.
I thought it was beautiful. I was shocked. I had not heard that clip until you sent it, and I was mouth was on the floor. It was just so beautiful.
Thank you, thank you.
So tell me about after AVA, did you go to a big young artist program? What happened after you finished 4 years at AVA, which is already like a big young artist program in and of itself?
It definitely is. I mean, by my second year, I was already flying off to do stuff. You know, like my second year, so I flew off to Vienna to record the Mahler Second Symphony in Vienna. So I felt like my career had already kind of started. Then my third year of school, I did my real role debut on stage was Despina in Così fan tutte with Opera Company in Philadelphia.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my God, honey. Wow, what an experience. I was like, this is crazily miscast. But you know what? In the end, I had a blast.
I
And
know
it
that's
wasn't as
right.
miscast as I thought it was. You know what I mean? I actually really enjoyed doing it. I wasn't bad at it. But
Yeah.
then my fourth year of school, by this time, my fourth year of school, I'd made my debut in Dresden singing Me.
Okay.
So, you know, it's sort of, I don't know. I had already started working before I left. So by
Mhm.
that time, when I finished AVA, I was 25. So I
Okay.
know age-wise, I should have gone straight to a young artist program, but instead, I started singing a lot in Europe, mostly in Dresden,
Gotcha.
with my first manager, Matthew Lafer. So he had me singing in Dresden, in Trieste, in Bilbao,
Mhm.
a few different companies, you know what I mean? Kind of bouncing around a little bit in Europe, you know, and just kind of getting the career started. So I just started out like that. It took me a little longer to break in America, honestly.
Interesting. So, what roles were you singing over there when you were just getting started? Were they the same roles that you had sort of seasoned up at AVA, or were they new things?
The only role that I was using that I'd seasoned up at AVA was Mimi for Bohem. So
Uh-huh.
I was singing that in quite a few places. So I was doing Mimi, I was doing Liu, and I was singing Micaela.
Uh-huh.
A lot of those, and some of the smaller roles, like I covered Layla and Pearl Fishers for the Opera Orchestra New York. I did
Yes.
Vivetta and La Orlesiana with the Opera Orchestra New York. I did some lighter fare, but that's what I did starting out. It wasn't until I was already in my 30s that I started doing Aida. But I did do Butterfly for the first time when I was about 27, 28, something like that.
Okay.
And I just fell in love. It was at Palm Beach Opera, actually.
Wow.
And it was, and oh my gosh, my Pinkerton was Brian Email. Oh my goodness.
Uh,
Yes, it was absolutely fantastic. So from then on, I started doing it all the time. I did it in Dresden. I did it in Hamburg. But I did a lot of butterflies after that in random places. Sometimes like just kind of replacing people a lot. You know what I mean? Like never being
yeah.
hired in my own right. I'll tell you
Right, right.
that. Usually it was just replacing people or sort of being thrown in because it was a part of their rep,
Gotcha.
which is
So,
fine.
yeah, it's totally fine as long as the check cashes and clears.
Mhm.
Um, so when you came back to America, was it because you wanted to come back to America? Because there are a lot of singers, particularly Black singers, who go to Europe and they stay and they make their career over there. But you came back and now you've made a gigantic career here in America. What was the determining factor for you coming back home?
Mm. Um, my family, because
Hmm.
even when I had made my debut with the Met, I was still mostly singing in Europe. But
Okay.
once I got married, and I had my first child, I said, okay, maybe I need to slow it down. And my husband thought too, he was like, we should be more American based, just stay here in America. And so I started to put my focus into being American based. Of course, I don't know if I've come to regret that now because America seems to be pretty shut down due to this pandemic, and Europe is pretty opened. You know what I mean? Like everything is open. You know what I mean? Just everything's going. So I don't know, big decisions to make coming up. I'll tell you that. But yeah,
Yeah.
for the most part, it was because of my family that I wanted to sort of gear it toward America. But I think that a big part of it was definitely getting to sing at the Met. Because once I got that debut, the American houses were opened up via Aida.
Gotcha.
And it happened, and it only happened the way it did just because it was the 200th anniversary of Verdi's birth, was that 2012-13 season. So everybody and their mama was doing Aida.
Was doing
They're
it.
like, okay, come on, this is the Aida. This girl just had her thing. Let's sign her up. Let's sign up. And that's exactly what happened. So it's just like I was in the wrong place at the right time. That's what I
Yep.
always felt about it, because I I loved singing Aida, but I didn't feel like I was nearly developed enough to be singing it all over the world so often. You know what I mean? It just started to happen so fast. You know what I mean? I was like, I've barely been singing it though. I'm like, I know I've sung it and I've been doing it, but not that much, because I was still
Right.
doing butterflies. I did Simon Boccanegra. I did a lot of early Verdi. I did Due Foscari,
Uh-huh.
Ernani. You know what I mean? Did a lot of stuff like that. You know what I mean? So just a variety of things. I did Susanna, Carla
Oh,
Floyd in Bilbao.
oh my
All
God.
kinds of interesting things, like interesting projects here and there. And I don't know. You know what I mean? It got really, the Aida situation got really hard because I was ready to sing it probably about 4 years in vocally.
Yeah.
Like 4 years after, I'd say about 2016. Even though it was wild because I was pregnant and I was going through all these hormonal changes, it was all so hard to sing. But I felt like my throat had gotten there
Yeah.
finally. You know what I mean? And it
Interesting.
finally caught up. Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. We have a couple of questions. One from a first year opera major, Kendra Baldwin. I'll put it up on the screen. Let me know if you can see it.
Did you ever worry about pursuing music/opera as a career? Cheers from a first year opera major. All right, Kendra. Hey, did I worry about it? I'm not gonna lie. No, I did not worry. I was the sort of person that once I decided I was going to do it, there was nothing else. And I streamlined everything in my being to do it. I mean, I'm sitting on the floors of a school that I didn't even go to. I mean, I moved up to a city where I knew for sure just one or two people. Well, just one really. My best friend with, like $400. You know what I mean? I'm just like, oh my God. I I put everything into it. I felt like I was put here to do it. And because of that, I was never afraid. Even when it didn't work out, I was just like, I'm still not doing something else. I'm going to do this no matter what. That's it. This or bust. I would be, God forbid, somebody just sitting on the side of the street still doing it, singing anyway. It's a funny thing because right now everything's closed. We do a lot of singing for free or for extremely small fees now online, and that really gets hard financially. But I mean, I need to do it so badly. I feel the need to get up and perform and to share it. This is what I do. I have to do that. It's my form of ministry. So I never had fear going into a career like this. The only reason why
Wow.
somebody should fear going into a career like this is because this is not 100% what they are and who they are deep down. So you can't go in with fear. Even if your career doesn't pan out the way you had hoped it would, you if you're going to be a singer, you got to do it anyway.
Yeah.
So I tell you, if you have fear, Kendra, I don't know if you do. I'm going to guess you don't. And maybe the question came based out of it was a pandemic sort of based question. I'm not really sure, but don't be scared of anything. You know what I mean? You decided you're a singer. You need to jump in with both feet because if you just jump in with one, then you're not really in, are you? So leave the fear at the door.
Gotcha. That's beautiful. Thank you, Kendra, for that question. Anybody? Lisa, I'm going to get to your question because it's a good one, but I'm going to work it into a few questions that I had about that topic. But thank you for putting that up there. So you get to the Metropolitan Opera, and for most people involved in the opera industry, and then those even that are not, the Metropolitan Opera represents the pinnacle. It represents you have made it, you've done it. What was it like when you get a call from them and they say, we want you to sing this on this stage on this night? What goes through your mind, your body, your soul, your spirit? What was that like?
I'll tell you exactly what it was like. So, I mean, I know I've told this story a million times. So I'll give you the abridged version. So, I was covering Violetta Ormana, the fantastic mezzo soprano, who was singing soprano at this point, and she was doing Aida. It was 7 performances. For the 6th one, she canceled. Okay, so it was just like, oh my God, I'm the cover. I'm the cover. Are they going to put me on? Absolutely not. Instead, they said, no, 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 no. We're going to put on a star. We're going to put on Sandra Vavinovsky. And I said, okay, I totally get it. I mean, why not? Sandra's amazing. And she was making her role debut of Aida there at the Met that night. And she was fantastic. And I remember I was just like, oh God, I'm never going to get an opportunity. At this point, I was homeless. I was sleeping on my best friend's couch, Michael Fabiano. I was sleeping on his couch. I had to live with him. I didn't have any work. The only work I had that entire season was covering those 7 performances of Violetta Romana. So when the 6th one she canceled and I didn't get to do it, I mean, that was also a blow. You know what I mean? Financially, it's just like, oh my God. So the 7th one came up and I was like, surely she'll be fine. You know what I mean? And even if she's not, they've made it very clear that they're going to bring a star in no matter who the cover is. And that's the way it is there. Because truthfully, now in hindsight, when I think about that and their decision to do something like that, it makes sense. If people are coming to see somebody like her, and they can put on a star and that star is available, then the Met feels like they want to give that audience their money's worth. And their money's worth is a star price. That's what they paid for it. They didn't pay for a debutante. You know what I mean? They didn't pay
Yeah.
for the cover. You put the cover on only in an emergency situation, right? Like if somebody cancels in the middle of the opera, which we know happens, and they can't sing Act 3 and 4, you know what I mean? Then your cover has to go on, you know what I mean? They can't
Right.
fly somebody from Chicago on the Condor, you know what I mean? It's not going to happen, you know what I mean? They have to use their cover. So in this case, what happened, I remember it was a Thursday night and I was just sitting there on the couch/bed. And I saw the phone ring and it was from the Met and I ignored it. I sent it straight to voicemail because I just didn't want to hear it. Okay. I didn't care what it was. I was mad. You know what I mean? I really was. So I was like, okay, let me check this funky message. You know what I mean? And so it was John Hauser. He was like, oh, yeah, this is John Hauser from the Met. And just wanted to let you know that Peter's changed his mind and decided to let you sing the Saturday broadcast of Aida. So let me know if you need some rehearsal time. If not, I'll see you. I'm like,
And
what?
what day was
Rewinding
this?
it. This was on a Thursday night that I got this message. Thursday night, like at 6 p.m., 6:30,
Okay.
something like that. And the performance was on Saturday afternoon.
Wow. I listened
Okay,
to
so
that
I was like,
performance.
you did. Oh
I
my
did.
God. Let me tell you, I was I couldn't believe it. I was so nervous. Oh my God, I was nervous. But I just couldn't believe it. I mean, I was excited for that day and a half. I barely got any sleep naturally. You know what I mean? I just couldn't believe it was actually happening. You know what I mean? I was just sitting there and I was like, I'm 33 years old. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm finally getting to do this, you know? Now, this wasn't the first offer I gotten from the Met to do something, it wasn't the
Okay.
Aida cover. The very first thing that they actually offered me was to sing Ernani, but it was to cover Ernani and do one performance. And it was in production in 2007, I guess it was. But I did not want to do it because I was not that
Hmm.
good at Ernani because it had a bunch of runs and stuff. And runs is just not my forte to get real. I mean, like they call me like coloratura basura, trash runs.
Oh
Okay.
no.
Like they're really, really bad, So I just didn't want to make my Met debut that way. Okay. So I was just like, all right, I'm out. And of course, who did it? Angela Mead. And let me tell you, she fit the bill to a T. I mean, she went up there and she sang "House Down Boots." I mean, she just sang. She can sing anything. I mean, she really can. Okay,
Yeah.
so it was fantastic, and they found the right person. Believe me, it wasn't right for me. You know, and then the next thing was actually to cover Aida. So I had to take the work. I, of course, became extremely grateful for that once I got this debut, but it was it was the most exciting day of my career. I mean, come on. It was absolutely exciting. I was with Marcello Giordani, who spoke up on my behalf,
Oh.
wanted me to do it. Because before this
Mm.
debut actually happened, I had sung some pretty decent Aidas. I'd done some new productions. I'd done it at Covent Garden. You know what I mean? And so for some of
Mhm.
the people in my cast, they were like, why won't you just, you know what I mean? Let her do it. You know what I mean? Like what's going on? So people spoke up. Aprile Milo, absolutely, huge supporter of mine, spoke up. You know what I mean? People
Wow.
were really speaking up and they were really supporting me big time, so it ended up happening. It was the most fantastic thing. I was like, I thank God that Peter took a chance on me. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, regardless of how hard people might have had to push, I'm so glad. You know what I mean? Just absolutely fantastic.
So talk about that. Was there extra pressure because it was being broadcast on the radio as well as in the house, or did you block that out?
Well, I only felt that before the 2 days before leading up to it. The day of, I don't really think about that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Because
Hmm.
if you do, then you're really in trouble and your throat's closed off and you're dead in the water. You know what I mean? So the days leading up to it, yes, I did think about that. They said, yeah, they usually get about 10 million people. I'm like, so to me, was shitting bricks. I mean, I was like, whoa, I was like 10 million people, mind blown. So once it came down to it, I knew I just had to get up there and sing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Um, but when I walked out on the stage, I was so nervous, like a deer in headlights. I mean, my eyes are literally like this. I just was
Hmm.
frozen. And then Stephanie Blythe with her absolutely planet-sized voice
Yes.
I was like, oh God. You know what I mean? But not even that could really snap me out. But she's just like, is this girl coming when she says to approach? You know, I'm gonna come. She's like, are you coming? So I go over there, you know, deer in headlights. And then as soon as I got ready to sing that very first line, as soon as I got it out, I was okay. I was good. Because remember, in a situation like that, I had only seen the stage 7 minutes before curtain. So I had never seen the set before up close.
Oh my God.
So I go out and I look at the set and I'm like, you look completely straight up at it. Like, you know, it's like the Empire State Building. Oh my God, this is sick. You know what I mean? But they were like, okay, you have to step over here. You have to step over here. You have to go over here. I'm like, going crazy. Even though I had rehearsed in their little 5th floor studio, I mean, nothing can prepare you really for the size of the stage. I mean, you know what I mean? They do the best they can with the blocking, but come on. So it was just a completely overwhelming experience, just like being in the costume that I had seen Aprile Milo in. You know what I mean? From that video. You know what I mean? I remember in 1997 watching the broadcast, I was like,
yep.
Mesmerized. I'm like, I'm in this costume. I was like, thank God. And I mean, I'll be honest. I was like, thank God I can fit into it. I looked pretty good then. I remember I was working out a bunch like months before that. So I looked okay. But I was like, thank God I can wear this costume. Because to be honest, they have 2 sets of costumes there. Okay. They have the General Aida costume and then they got the big girl costume. Which, as it turns out, I did have to end up wearing because I was like almost 8 months pregnant when I did Aida in 2016 there. So I was a super pregnant Aida. So they put me in the big girl costume. And it's gorgeous. It was so elegant. I felt like Jesse Norman and Ariadne.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like all these long lines streaming. I was like, woohoo! So I was kind of like so happy that I got to wear that costume too, because I was like, I got to wear both of them before the production closed, and they end up doing this new one, which of course we would have been in rehearsals for right this minute, but you know, things happen.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So, okay. Lisa brought up a topic, and I'm going to morph it into a question that I originally had as it pertains to Aida and as it pertains to Butterfly. These roles are both not only racially specific in the score, but there has been sort of this recent controversy about blackface or yellowface and to do it or not to do it. What do you do when someone says, we want Latonia Moore to sing Butterfly?
What do I do? Well,
in regards to the production, the makeup, the wig, the kimono, the this, the that.
I got into opera so that I could look like somebody else at any given moment, depending on the show, depending on what it is. So I got in fully wanting to be in geisha makeup. I got into opera fully wanting to darken my skin, to lighten it, to make it blue, to make myself taller, make my hair straight, make it curly, to do whatever it takes. And I always came in never having eyes of offense, because it's our job not to, you have to go in, you have to be a chameleon, you have to become something else. That's what opera's supposed to be about. Opera is suspension of disbelief, right? That's why I got into it, so that I can be anything, anybody. So when I go into a production, you know, every director's got a different concept of what they want to do. I've gone and I've done a Butterfly where in the first act, I was in full geisha regalia. And in the second act, I was in jeans and a t-shirt. You know what I mean? And in the first act, I had the lightened, just the white face of the geisha makeup with the really, that red lip in the center. And it's just so sweet. I mean, oh my God, I love getting done up as a geisha. I love it. And then the second act in this production, though, I was just like you see my pigment of skin now, with a t-shirt and jeans. So no, they did not lighten my skin to try to make me look Japanese. They just did the geisha style makeup like every geisha would do regardless of their skin tone. Let's say you had, you know, a darker geisha that was, I mean, I don't know, a darker geisha like me. You know what I mean? You still put the same matte of white makeup with the stylized makeup on top. Now, I've never taken issue with it, but people getting offended by it, if they're offended by it and they don't want me to do it, I'll stop doing it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I said, because my mentality is about us being a chameleon, I always come in totally cooperative about the way I'm supposed to look because I love transforming. I mean, they painted me darker to do Aida in Tokyo. They painted
Really?
me super, yes, they painted me blacker. And I asked, I said, why are you making me darker? I'm just so curious, you know? They said, well, and this was their reason. They said, we have a bunch of dancers and they're wearing bodysuits and we're blending makeup from, you know, putting makeup on their face and then they're using bodysuits. And we want to paint to match the bodysuits. And I said, okay, cool. And I didn't have any problem with it. And I remember somebody asking me why. Okay, like after the fact, they were like, why didn't you have a problem with that? I mean, that's not cool. Blah, 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 blah. And I said, why would I? It's a production, it's theater. This is the look, this is the concept. I love it. This is not a very popular opinion to have these days. You know, and people are so up in arms, you know what I mean? And but I can't be because I love doing it. You know what I mean? When I did Desdemona, I lightened my skin for sure. And this was at the end of 2017. It was a semi-stage version. Had on a white dress. I had super black hair. But I put on like that Laura Mercier like skin glow stuff. It's like this glitter glow. I look sort of like this ethereal creature that had come down like a nymph or, you know, a siren, some water thing. You know, I loved this lighter look. I felt more Venetian. I felt very Desdemona. Not that look, if they would have said, look, you can do it with your regular skin, blah, 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 I would have still done something to highlight myself and make myself look like I glow like the moon, like I, you know, reflect ivory from my skin, because I like the idea of what Desdemona represents compared to Othello, because it's not just that he's black of skin, it's that he has this demon that he struggles with all the time, of not being like everybody else, of having something that he doesn't want somebody else to get. And that's that darkness. And hers is so innocent and light. So I feel like, you know, I loved wearing this all white dress and being just I feel like I was floating on air. I loved it.
Wow.
You know,
I
I don't know
remember.
if I would have loved it any less otherwise, but I tell you, I'm a fan of changing the color of my skin, changing the look of my hair. I'll go in stilts, you know, I'll do whatever. The last Tosca I did, the director, David Bobet, he said, I don't want you to, he said, I want the hair on your head for this Tosca to look like it grew out of your head. None of this straight hair, nothing like that. So I had Shaka Khan, let me rock you, Shaka Khan. Honey, that was Tosca. It was Shaka all the way. I was in love. I was totally digging it. And everybody thought it was super hot. I felt more like Tosca during that production than any other I've ever done. That's the truth.
Wow. Wow. Amazing. I saw that Desdemona on the internet when it happened. It was so beautiful, so gorgeous. And so there are not a lot of Black women who have a history of doing that role, and probably because of the color. But so I want to ask you, in your career, did you or do you have to fight for roles that are not racially specific? Like if you want to sing Desdemona or Cho-Cho-san or Mimi or whomever, is that a harder battle, or are people just trying to zero you in on Serena, Bess, and Aida?
I'll tell you this, you know, because I'm just thinking this right now, actually, but when I've gotten to do really like passion projects at opera companies, like I mentioned that I did Susanna, you know, that I got to do this Desdemona, you know what I mean? I've gotten to do some interesting things at companies. More often than not, I had to do like Aida there first, or whatever role I was known for first there. In the case of Bilbao, for instance, I think my debut there was actually Liu. And then I sang Micaela there. I did Due Foscari. And then I did Susanna after I had already done, you know, a certain amount of roles there. So I think that once I've established myself at whatever given company for a while, sometimes I get to do things that are a little bit off the beaten path. You know what I mean? That they'll kind of like give me that opportunity and give me that chance, but only after I've had to do like that Aida or that butterfly first, and then I get to do something else. You know? So,
Yeah.
I mean, in that way, is that me have to fight? No, but it's me having to pay dues in a way, you know, give them what they want first. And sometimes it happens like that where if somebody wants me to do Aida somewhere, you ask, you know, look, I'll do an Aida in conjunction with another contract doing blah, 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 something that I'm more interested in. You know, something new I want to add to my repertoire, whatever. But sometimes it's really, really hard just out of nowhere to ask a company if I've never sung there or I've done something that's not really what I'm known for to
Right.
kind of take that leap, you know what I mean? And say, oh, okay,
Yeah.
we'll go ahead and cast her and let her do X, Y, and Z. You know, it's always having to do something else first, which I mean, I kind of don't mind, you know, but with some roles, I mean, I say, you know, something like Tatiana, I've always wanted to do so badly, but I've
Mm.
never gotten the opportunity. That's something for sure that I would say I have had to fight for and have lost the battle thus far. You know, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
You
So
know.
have you had to tell someone no? I'm not doing Aida.
Yeah. I've most certainly had to tell people, no, I'm not doing Aida. And I've had like one company in particular, I said, no, I'm not going back to do Aida. I really don't want to do that. And the company did come back and offer another role. But then I've had three other times where I've said, no, I don't want to do Aida. No, I don't want to do Aida. No, I don't want to do Aida. And they never asked for anything else ever. And I never heard from the company,
Wow.
you know? There's
And
that.
so how do you come to terms with something like that? Do you pray about it? Do you look yourself in the mirror? Do you talk to your agent about it? Do you talk to your family about it and say, I want to stick to my guns. This is what I want to do. Like, how much input from outside sources do you get when you make decisions like that?
Look, pre-pandemic, Latonia would say, I don't care. You know, and I'd be like, I don't want to do Aida there. You don't want me to do something else, and I'll move on to a company that was going to let me sing because ultimately I want to perform. That's what I want to do, you know, but I don't want to get stuck in performing something that I know is going to age my voice faster. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. I
Right.
mean, especially the way I had start to come to sing Aida, you know, because sometimes it gets away from you after a while. You start to sing it in really, really big houses. You start to be affected by all the other people singing around you, by everybody whispering in your ear the way Aida's supposed to sound is like this, Latanya. It's supposed to be like
Mm.
this. And then you start to futz around. You know, your body goes through changes after children. You get older. You know what I mean? Like all of these things are factors, you know. But because of that, I didn't want a steady diet of Aidas anymore. So come 2016 is when I started to turn some down. You know, and I was just like, no,
Gotcha.
no, 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 I can't do everything. Now, post pandemic, Latanya says, bring anything you've got because my children are just hungry all day. I mean, they're always hungry. They
Right.
want all the toys, anything they see on TV. They see somebody else with something, they want it. They want this, they want that. Now, I can't give them everything, but I try. You know what I mean? I try to do it anyway, you know, and I just, at this point, the way things are going, I'm just like, if you want me to do this, you want me to do that, I'm going to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
I have done, you know, some online things, you know, for free, obviously.
Speaking
But
of
I do
which,
have something coming up where it's not for free.
right,
But,
right.
you know, and that's, I mean, come on, people have to do what they have to do. You have to make ends meet. Like, I have to support my family at this point. And no matter what, to go back to Kendra saying, okay, do you wish, you know what I mean? Do you ever get afraid that it's not going to work out? Now I'm afraid. Okay. I mean, of course. You know what I mean? Like, there's just no certainty when it comes to any kind of pandemic, regardless of what space and what time it happened. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. Like, it is unpredictable. I'm sorry, they
Yeah.
did not know what was going to happen 100 years ago with the Spanish flu, and I mean, it hit hard, and this one's hitting just as hard. You know
Just
what I
as
mean? And
hard.
some say if not harder. You know what I mean? But look, all in all, everything picks back up in some form or another. You know, the question is like, are we going to survive until that happens? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, now, I mean, yeah, I want to do Aida. I mean, hopefully I won't have to ever do a steady diet of Aida. But I tell you, if I were to pick up and move to Europe, there's probably a lot more opportunities to do Aida right now over there than there are here in our very own country. you
Right.
know
Yeah.
and that's very, very frustrating too, because even when you see people from the major companies that have been hired to do some online things, what's frustrating about it is because Europe is open, these people have access to live work right now, whereas Americans, you know what I mean, who sing at the Met, who sing at Chicago, who sing at LA, who sing in Houston, you know what I mean, all the big houses, San Francisco, all the Americans are completely out of work. So they should be the ones that are being highlighted much more than people that are in Europe that can get work right now. But
Absolutely.
that's just my personal opinion. You know what I mean? But that has to be said. I mean, that's a reality because that's hard to see. We're not getting the government help at these opera companies the way they are in a lot of other countries. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Where we don't. I mean, everything's just private. Everything's privately funded. You know what I mean? We're not getting like all of this help. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that are out of work and they're not getting government help right now. You know what I mean? So it's just, woo, it's a hard
It's a,
time. Everything's
it
so
is.
unpredictable. So yes, I mean, bring on Aida, please. Bring on a butterfly. I mean, I've been learning Donna Anna. Bring it. You know what I mean? Yes, I would like to get up and sing. I want to do it, and not just for the cash, for livelihood, for the kids and for my family. You know what I mean? But I have to do it. I mean, when I did that recital at the end of July, like I was exhausted and depressed for a week after. I remember I
Oh
was
my
just
gosh.
exhausted. I didn't want to talk. I didn't really want to do much of anything. I was just so drained and I
So
needed
why
it. I
why
needed to do it. I mean, really, I
yeah.
needed that kind of release. It's almost like, I mean, what time is it? Okay, nobody very young is watching. It's almost like this. You're watching, okay, let's say you're watching a movie. Okay, and you see in said movie, they've just had this hot, hot love scene, and at the end they go and start, smoking their
Yeah.
cigarette. I needed to do it. That's my cigarette, right? Getting up and
Yes.
doing a recital like that, getting that release. I had to do it. Even
Yes.
though it drained me and I cried and I was depressed. I was just like, oh my God, I had to do it. You know what I mean? I needed it. This is my livelihood more than the cash from singing.
That recital was so fantastic. I remember I texted you that night and told you how proud I was of you and how amazing it was because it was so heartfelt and it was so sincere. In addition to being vocally beautiful and dramatically in tuned to what was happening with the Russian and the spirituals and the whole rest of it. It was just so fantastic. So thank
Thank
you
you.
for getting that out for us.
You're welcome. Because it was a lot, let me tell you. And what's really hard about doing this online work now, the
Yeah.
exciting thing about live theater is that it's live, and I kind of love that it's not recorded because nobody can go back and listen to it. What you experience right then is what you got. It's fantastic. What a thrill. But now you can go back and listen to these recordings over and over and over again. So what did I do? I I'll tell you first of all, let me just mention Nicole Houston because I remember talking to her a little bit earlier on at the beginning of everything shutting down in the pandemic and how I hate to listen to myself sing. And she was like, but that's the
Yeah.
thing, you've got to do it. She was like, we know our own voices. You record yourself, listen to it, be honest with yourself about what you hear and, and fix things as you go. And I said, well, I just hate to listen to myself. So one thing I do is if I have to listen to myself, I turn it down on volume 1, the very lowest, and I listen to it like this, as if it's not happening. You know what I mean? Which is completely hilarious. And she laughed about it too. But, we both knew it was a ridiculous thing. And
I'm
it
gonna
was time
try
to
that.
start. For some reason, it just made it easier to bear because sometimes it's cringeworthy to go in and hear
Yeah.
yourself because, I listened to the recital and I'm like, okay, I heard 57 mistakes. I mean, I went
Mhm.
back and I marked everything like a crazy person. You know
Oh
what I mean?
yeah.
I'm just like, oh gosh, oh gosh, oh gosh. But, and sometimes I have to mentally remind myself, remember this was not for you to go back and rip yourself apart, Latonia. It's there. It's for other people. You don't have to do this to yourself now.
Right.
Leave it
Right.
alone for now. I mean, even though I did all my nitpicking and got that out of the way, my whole notebook's all full of stuff to fix. Absolutely crazy. But when it comes down to it, it's what I miss about live theater compared to this sort of thing, because it's not exactly the same. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's just the thrill of being in the theater. Oh my God. Karen was just saying the other night, and she's talking to Matthew Horner.
Mhm.
She said, I love to be in the audience and the lights go down and everything and everybody's getting settled. It's like, ooh, it's getting started. Okay, I can't say that I like to sit in the theater in the audience for it, but I love being backstage and the lights go down right before the curtain goes up, right before that downbeat starts. That feeling, you
Yes.
know what I mean? Feeling in your
Oh, yes.
chest. It's like ready, set. Oh, that feeling. I miss it so bad.
My favorite feeling is when I hear the stage manager say, "Mr. Overton to stage, please," for the first time. That
Yes.
that there is nothing like that feeling, because then when I get up to leave my dressing room, that's it. That's the last time that Kenneth exists for the night. And once I leave that room, whoever that character is, that's when it happens for me. And so I'm no
Yeah.
longer nervous. I no longer have my issues, none of that. As soon as the stage manager says, "Mr. Overton to places, please," that's it for me. And I miss
Oh,
that.
I
I
love
miss
it.
that feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. I really, really miss it too. Not to mention, I miss feeding off the energy of other people in the room.
Yes.
Whether it be
Yeah.
the audience, the people you're singing with on the stage, like there's nothing that gives me chills like that. There's nothing that really gets under your skin like that kind of contact you have in a show. You know what I mean? And I just,
Right.
ooh, man, it makes me want to cry to think about not having that contact. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
in the future, what does it look like? You can't kiss on stage like you used to. You can't
I
hug and you can't
know.
smack people anymore. Oh my God. One of my favorite things. um, when you're on stage, you have to do all kinds of stuff, people. All right. You got to kiss, you got to do all this stuff. But smacking people was one of my favorites, just because in Aida, there's a line where she's about to tell the princess of Egypt that she's the princess of Ethiopia, but she stops herself. And in a lot of productions, they put a smack in where
Yes.
Amneri smacks Aida. Okay,
Yep.
so I'm going to tell this little story about Miliana Nikolic. We were in Sydney, okay, and we were doing the rehearsal, and she like mocked the slap, sort of like barely touched my face. I said, "Oh, come on, Millie. You got more than that. I know you got more than that." She's like, "I don't want to hurt you." She's so sweet and elegant. She's like, "I don't want to hurt you. You got to believe me." She's sweet and elegant, but she is 6 feet tall. Okay. She towers over me. Okay. Which was it. I love tall luminaries. It's like Michelle DeYoung. That's another one. Also,
Uh-huh.
Anita,
Uh-huh.
who I was about to do it with, so tall, they tower over me. Okay. So tall Amazonian Wonder Woman looking woman. Incredible. I'm like, okay, I know you can do it. Just lay into me. You're not going to hurt me. Don't worry. I promise you're not going to hurt me. She said, okay, okay. She's so sweet. So it's like, mia rivale e ben sia pure, anch'io son tal. She said, whack of you, whack, whack, whack. I said, ah! Honey, she laid in with everything she got. And let me tell you,
Wow.
she laid me right out. I was like, oh my God, my jaw. It's like, I don't know if it fell asleep. I can feel that sleeping sensation. She said, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do it. I'm so sorry. I told you. I'm sorry. Yeah, so I don't know. We had to work on the slap with her, but let me tell you, it's still
Okay.
exciting. Exciting things. I've had people, but I've been also one of those Aidas that's willing to go over the line. Like
Yeah.
I said, I'll do anything for a production. So yes, I've had drinks thrown in my face at that moment. You know what I mean? I've had to do pedicures, sew up the dresses, with the yellow gloves on the floor, scrubbing the floors before Opatria and me. I mean,
Oh,
absolute
wow.
crazy talk sort of things that I've had to do in productions. You know what I mean? But what I hate about what's happening right now is we're not gonna have that kind of stuff anymore. Even
I
if it's a shit,
know.
even if it's a shit production, we won't get the coolness of a shit production because everything has to be socially spaced out. Now,
Yeah.
this is going to be the new normal for a while. I mean, we're looking at least a year and a half of when we
Oh,
do get back to live theater of this kind of thing, of this distanced lovers, you know what I mean?
yeah.
I'll touch you from afar, But truth be told, I'll do what I've got to do. If it has to be distance for now, I'm gonna, like send my energy like a shockwave to the person 6 feet away from me, and
Yeah.
just get the communication going that way. I mean, think about how many times we've had to do operas in concert version, Kenny. And
Yes.
sometimes, as much as you want that contact, you're doing the Ned Silvio duet. I mean, C botch. I mean, nobody's macking down, in the
No.
concert version anyway. So now we're getting lots of concert versions of everything to come. But I'll take it. I'll take it over nothing.
Right.
I mean, come on, bring anything at this point, Lord.
Absolutely. So there's I first heard you sing at New York City Opera as Micaela.
Oh my
And
God, yeah.
outside of hearing you sing Aida and Serena and Butterfly at the Met, I heard you sing Tosca at City Opera. Was it
Oh
with
my
Valenti?
goodness. No, my performances weren't with
Was
James.
with
He was no, he was in the first cast with
he
Kristen
was in the other
Sampson.
cast, right, with Kristen.
Yeah, and the whole reason why I was even doing this actually is because about 3 weeks before, Michael
Yeah.
Capasso contacted my agent and was like, "Does Latonia sing Tosca?" And they were like, "No." Can she learn it in a couple weeks? And they said, okay, well, we'll ask. They said because they had their second cast was an all Italian cast. They're being flown from
Uh-huh.
Italy. But the soprano that was supposed to do it, she couldn't, something happened with her visa. Okay.
Oh,
So they were like, look, we just got to get her in here. And I was like, okay, I've never done Tosca before. I guess I'll learn it real quick. You know what I mean? And I went in and just kind of like that. That's what happened.
that was real quick. Oh my gosh.
Yes. I mean, well, look, let's call a spade a spade. I have known of Tosca and basically known it, for decades. I mean, think about
Yeah.
it. It's like when I was 18 years old, I used to work at the music library at UNT,
Yeah.
and they had everything, you name it. I mean, recordings of Poncel, Geraldine Farrar, everything really, really early, going up, Leontine Price, Renata Tebaldi, Callas, everything. They had everything. So, I mean, I heard so many different recordings of Tosca. I already had a Tosca score by the time I was 19. You know what I mean? So, when somebody said, look, you got 2 weeks to learn Tosca, there were only some parts that I didn't know. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like right before the finale, after the duet is finished, things like that. But a lot of it, I knew it already. It was already there. But it being sung into my voice, I was horrified. I was so scared singing out in rehearsals. You know what I mean? I said, I don't even know what I'm doing. What am I doing to myself? Oh my God, I can't sing Tosca. What is this madness? I'm like, I'm
You were
already terrified of
fabulous.
high C's, and this is what it's known for. I'm like, I'm horrified. But in the end, it's sort of one of those things where you're like, you need to stop being horrified and let your adrenaline take you. It'll work for you. Just stop this. But let me tell you one honest thing that happened. During that production, like I said, the first cast Tosca was Kristen Sampson. And she
Hmm.
told me, I remember I was just like, God, I'm just so scared. Now, I don't know if you know her, but she's got laser
Yes.
beam high C's. I mean, they are sick. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, out of nowhere, she could just pull it out of the air.
Yeah.
It's really an insane instrument. The
I did
fact that she's able
Fanchula
to
with
do
her.
this.
Yeah.
Honey, the high C, she's got the 3K ring. I don't know what it is. So I tell her, I'm like, I'm just struggling. She said, okay, come here. And she took me to this little like side theater where we were rehearsing. And she said, okay, come in and wail, let them out. And I was like, what? And she said, just come on, let out the high C, just do it. Hell, go for a D flat. She was like, you need to do it. And I was like, I'm just shy. And she was like, well, you don't really have time to be shy. She said, just let it out. What's the worst that could happen? You can crack it. It's just me. I'm a soprano too. Come on. You know what I mean? So I go
Wow.
out, and so I go for one of the high C's, and it comes out. And she was like, there. She was like, nobody was in the room. You're in here alone. Just come in here and do it. Just don't be afraid. You know what I mean? She was like, just, give it what you got. I mean, I'd say just thinking about that helped me through so many Toscas. I still think about her. Every Tosca I do, I think about Kristen and how she took me in
Well,
that room and had me go up to this high C. I'm like, oh my God.
well, this next clip, folks, will be the receipts for what we just said. Now have a listen and hold on to your wig. Hold on.
Rullavano i tamburi, ridiva il legno mostro rideva, già la sua preda pronta per me. Sei mia, sì, ma sopra le presso la città.
Child, you gonna make me hurt you. You gonna make me hurt you. Oh my God. Ma'am, that is a high C, and every other note in there too.
Thank you. Thank Kristen.
Are you
Thank
kidding
my
me?
teacher.
Are you kidding me?
That was, and I mean, what's really funny about it is every time I do Tosca, I'm the same way about it. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know if it's ever going to work out, if it's going to come out. But that was just from last year, and the first Tosca I did, of course, was in 2016. So since then, I've done I don't know, I guess 4 productions, maybe 5. And actually, Tosca was what I was doing right before the closure pandemic. I was in
Yeah.
Rouen doing Tosca, a new production.
Oh.
And I finished in the middle of March. And so that was the last thing I got to do. This production I was talking about, where I had the shaka hair, it was really cool. Very cool, But yeah, so, but thank you.
Listen, you keep that girl close, because that was fabulous.
Totally. Thank you.
Listen, the chat room is going crazy for you. People are just like, just.
Thank you, Leon. Thank you, Celeste. Thank you. Thank you, Linda. It's a funny thing about I want to say about timbre.
Yeah.
All right, Adrian Danders. Hey, well, thank you. All right, thank you, Kevin. Oh man, this is so cute. The little bubbles. But I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh my God. Hey, Kevin, man. Absolutely Kevin Short. Anyway, yeah, I'm still the sort of person, that gets freaked out, by certain things when I get up to sing, and I don't know if it's going to come out, and I don't know if it's going to be this or that. And I think a lot of times too about being compared to past singers, the greats of the past, especially when I was doing Serena. So that takes me back to timbre. Now I remember. Okay. It's very hard because the Serena I love, my favorite is Angela Renee Simpson. And she has a very thick, she has this surround sound kind of voice, sort of the voice of God sort of voice. And this is, to me, the epitome of what a Serena is. And my Serena will never be that because I have a completely different kind of voice. So I had to think about, how I was going to sing Serena. And I was just like, okay, I'm not the typical person I'd cast. But then I had to remind myself that I have a certain timbre of voice that in a role like this, I can use to my advantage. Because even though typically, we know her as a thick voiced woman, always a thick, booming voice. There's something almost a bit more, if your voice is brighter, you have to think about it almost like, shame on all you sinners. Like, that annoying one, the one that's going to get in your ear and do it like this. You know what I mean? And it was almost like that all the time. You know what I mean? I couldn't try to broaden my sound and make it sound juicy and dark, because then my voice wouldn't be me. So
Right.
I have to do whatever role I'm doing within my timbre, within my color of voice. It's always going to be bright. You know, it's always going to have this certain sound. You know what I mean? So I think that it's very important for any singer to keep their sound. Even if somebody says, you sound like somebody else. If this is your natural sound, this is how you're feeling something, this is what's natural, do it anyway. I mean, a million times they're like, oh, Latonia, you sound like Leontine Price and you sound like Renee Fleming. I'm like, okay, well, I love them. And this is how I was brought up listening to them. So of course I sound like them. Thanks. You know what I mean? Just like Pearly Milo sounds like Tibaldi. Just like Kalas sounds like Poncel. You're inspired by a certain style of singing, but both of these women still had to do it within the guise of their own throat.
Absolutely.
You know, that's why you listen to Pearly Milo sing Don Carlo like that. Oh, Lord, have mercy. Make me want to fall off my chair every time. You know what I mean? But it's her. Of course she has an influence in style of singing. I mean, everybody does. You know what I mean? But you have to keep what's you about you. Don't ever change everything completely to fit in that box, because then you're no longer you. You're no longer Kenny. I'm no longer Latonia. Then I'm just this cookie cutter substitute for something else. You know, keep your stamp. You know what I mean? So in singing something like Serena, if I'm singing something like Tosca, or singing Elizabeth and Tannhäuser or Despina, it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? I still have to keep my own personal flavor. You know what I mean? And that's what's interesting.
I love your flavor. I think I'm addicted to that flavor. It's like caramel and chocolate with diamonds sprinkled on it. It's just so delicious. I love it. I love it.
Thank you. I'm hungry. Yum.
So now I want to talk to you about who is Latonia off stage. Like, are you a girly girl? Do you hang out with the boys? Are you a shopper? Do you like, jewels and gowns? Are you a t-shirt and jeans kind of a gal? Who is Latonia off stage?
All right. Well, it's a funny thing. I mean, of course, now, you know what I mean? So usually I'm mama or babe, as hubby calls, hey, babe, hey, mama. This is what's going on. Mama Garreau, Latonia Garreau, and I'm usually home on my off time with the kids. However, now if you just talk about who I am off the stage, I mean, look, I am known for cutting up a little bit. Like I said at the very beginning of this, I mean, we used to do like little things, cutting up and being bad, knocking over trash cans or whatever. Now, one thing I like to do is dance. So look, if it's after a show and people are ready to go rock, you know what I mean? I'll go to the club and I'll jam and I'll dance, you know what I mean? Like, and show the moves and do everything I need to do. I love to go bowling. Is what these are all things that I can't do right now. It's so hard, but I'm terrible at bowling too. Who cares?
I am terrible. Oh my God.
That's why it's so fun. It's just like karaoke. You know what I mean? You don't want to hear amazing singing at karaoke. Not really. You want to hear people go over the top. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, if somebody's really good at singing something, it all sounds perfect and there's no stretch. It's like, oh, you're missing the point of karaoke. The whole point of karaoke is to go beyond your limits, which I've done so often. I remember, okay, this is a really funny story. All right, Michelle Bradley, if you're out there, you're going to love this one. Okay, so on 2017, April 20th, I did my 100th performance of Aida, and it was at the Met. Okay, so after it was over, we were like, that's it. We're going to go out and get some drinks and we're going to the karaoke bar. Now, Michelle Bradley was singing The High Priestess that night. So I was like, come on along with us. You need to come. We're all going to go celebrate. So we all go out to karaoke. We started rocking. She got up and sang something. I think Donna Summer song. I don't know. She was amazing. Okay. So I got up, sang my usual rock, 80s rock, Pat Benatar, Love is a Battlefield. So I was feeling cocky at the end of the night. I was like, yeah, I had 100 Aidas. Yeah, I'm ready to rock, right? Ooh, honey. So I said, I'm going to sing Chandelier by Sia. Put it in.
Oh, that's my song. That is my song.
If you would have heard what happened to me, it wouldn't be your song anymore because I definitely took karaoke to the limit and I went over the top. So I'm like, I gotta
listen.
like
You got everybody's throat is not set up like Sia's. Sia's got that throat set up, that high, belty, clear, and then she can just turn it over. That's my song.
I don't got that throat. I don't got that throat. My throat don't do that. I wanted it to so badly, but my throat didn't do it. I mean, they closed out the night with this. They were like, karaoke's closed tonight. Come on, with Latonia and Chandelier. And I mean, it was like, oh. You know what I mean? So maybe I overshot a little bit, aimed a little too high. Not a realistic goal. But I mean, those are the things I really love to do. And I just like, I don't know, like stuff on my own. I like to play a game called Marvel Contest of Champions on my iPad. I love Marvel games and movies and comic books and stuff like that. Very, very cool to me. And yeah, I don't know. I like sports too. Super into tennis. Oh my Lord. That's another conversation.
Listen.
We talk about the US Open.
I'm really surprised that I'm able to even talk to you today because I was screaming at the TV all afternoon at Serena. Listen.
Serena Williams, come on down.
Baby, I was losing my mind. But see, I'm Serena until the end. And so the match is not over until the umpire says game, set, match. And I always think she has a chance to win. And I was in here pulling and screaming and hollering for her on today.
Of course you were. Oh my God. I can imagine it now, really.
Listen, you would not recognize me if you were, because I usually go to the US Open every year, when I'm in town and it's so sad to not be there, but you would not recognize me as the Kenny that watching Serena. I'm a completely different person. It's frightening. It's frightening.
I can imagine it just based on the absolute enthusiasm over the years of your Serena posts. Hey, Lemmy. Ooh, honey, what's up?
Talk about a throat, that Lemmy. I can't with him.
I mean, look, okay, the first clip I heard of him was that Nessun Dorma clip. And I just
listen.
And I kept rewinding. I never even got to the end. I don't know how many times it took me to actually get to the end of the aria. When something's so good, like all the way through, that you keep rewinding and hear the beginning and rewinding to hear specific phrases. I did that with Lemmy. I mean, I was just like, I don't even understand what's happening here, but what a thought. Oh, my Lord, have mercy.
I'm gonna put out in the universe that I want you and Lemmy to do Otello and Desdemona.
Otello.
Listen. I'm going to just put that out in the air. Universe, hear me clear.
I'm in if you are, Lemmy.
Listen, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. So something I've gotten into with my guests is that I ask them the same questions that James Lipton would ask his guests on Inside the Actors Studio. And so it's 10 questions. Answer honestly.
You sure?
Yes. Whatever the answer is, that's what I want. Okay? All right. The first question is, what is your favorite word?
Shenanigans. I say it all the time. I love it. When I hear somebody say shenanigans, I giggle inside every time. Shenanigans.
It's such a versatile word. You can use it in so many ways. Like the shenanigans of our industry, shenanigans.
Shenanigans, honey.
So, okay, question number 2. What is your least favorite word?
No profanity, right?
Yes, you can cuss.
Okay. Okay, no, it's actually not a profane word. I mean, I know what the word is. I just don't want to say it because I hate it. Anyway, the word is moist.
I don't like that word either.
I
Unless
just,
unless we're talking about a piece of cake. If we're
if
talking
I
about a
have
piece
to
of
read
cake,
the word, if I have to read the word like a moist cake, it's okay to read it. But
yeah.
saying the word moist makes
Yeah.
me want to
Yes.
throw up. Oh my God, move on. Ah,
I am right.
Lord.
I'm with you on that. I'm so with you. Okay. So what turns you on? What makes you excited? What turns you on?
Mm, it turns me on. Humor. I mean, I don't
Hmm.
have to give just one answer, right? Well, look, what turns me on is definitely humor, uh, talent,
Mm.
people who are fearless. Mm, I don't know, people who know how to look at me. You look at me the right
Yeah.
way, I'm there. But I don't know. I don't know. In a nutshell, what turns me on is like, I don't know, people who are ambitious. You know what I mean? People who, I don't know, unafraid. People who are
Yeah.
unafraid. You know, people who can, just go on the couch and sit there naked and not care, let it all hang out sort of person.
I
I
love it.
love this very, very much a free spirit.
What turns you off?
Um, let's see what turns me off. I don't know, feta cheese. I mean, anything that's like feta, with feta, around feta, near feta. I mean, I love Greek men. Greek men are all hot, you know what I mean? But like the feta cheese, I'm gonna say that turns me 100% off. And also, I think that, look, because I am a singer and we can relate it to singing. What really turns me off as far as singing is people who think they're really, really amazing and they are not. Okay. I have very, very short fuse for people who really think they're so incredible and it's just so terrible. Because
Yeah.
I've run into absolute, when somebody does that, it's I don't know, it's really, 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 really hard to swallow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's really, really hard for me to swallow when somebody doesn't, they don't understand and they think they do, they think they already know, they can't be taught, this kind of person, because I feel like that's a stunted person and that drives me more crazy than anything. You know what I mean?
Right.
Somebody that can't grow. It drives
Yeah.
me really, really crazy.
Good answer. So, what sound or noise do you love?
What sound or noise? Ooh, I love the sound of the airplane when you're on the airplane.
Huh.
I love it. It's my white noise machine as an airplane. I think
Aha.
it has like 563 days of playtime on my iPad. I listen to it almost every night to go to sleep, but I love the sound of an airplane. Nice rumbling airplane or a hair dryer or anything that's humming. I
Okay.
actually in this apartment when I practice, I turn on the microwave fan and it's really kind of loud. You know what I mean? I just love to hear that noise when I'm practicing, when I'm singing.
Really?
It's almost like, well, yeah, think about it. Let's say I'm working on that hard passage in O Patria Mia, which I've been working on like gangbusters over the last 3 weeks, okay? And I have nothing but silence in here. That means I'm basically doing it a cappella. Whereas if I have a rumbling noise underneath, I feel like an orchestral support. I know that's
Oh.
weird, but I need the noise. People said about that passage in O Patria Mia, they were like, why can't we do it? Indra was saying specifically, Indra Thomas, she was like, why is this passage not as easy as the passage in Ballo and Mascara? It's almost the same notes. I mean, what about the one that the Libera made? Why is that one okay? Everybody sails to that high C. It's a crazy approach to the one in O Patria Mia. And then suddenly you're exposed with nothing underneath you. So
Mm.
you need support more than anything to do something like that phrase. So me having a white noise like this nice rumble, it feels like support, it feels like a comfort. I was probably one of those babies that my mom, I gotta ask her, my mom and daddy. Daddy, if you're watching, let me ask you, did I used to love being like in a vibrating chair or having something vibrate or somebody hum, because I feel like I must have been that kind of baby. You know what I mean? Because I am that kind of adult in my 40s today. I mean, I am still that way. So any kind of deep hum. Yeah, and yes, I'm
Okay.
partial to baritones and bass baritones when it comes to that. Because,
Yes.
oh, yes, I'm like exactly
Yes.
that. Oh, it's just wonderful. Sorry,
Okay.
tennis, I love y'all, but
Right. Bye, tennis. So, what sound or noise do you hate?
somebody touching styrofoam, like the
Oh,
sound of
yeah.
styrofoam.
Yeah. 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 I don't like that either.
I can't. I can't. I'll leave the room if it's
Yeah.
too squeaky.
What is your favorite curse word?
Oh, come on, fuck. I mean, it's the class. It's the quintessential. It is the worst word. Is there a worse cuss word than fuck or motherfucker?
Right. Maybe that one.
I mean, come on. I love to call my son Jules because of Pulp Fiction mostly. You know what I mean? Which while it
Right.
is,
Right.
it's
Right.
the one to say bad motherfucker. Because just to say fuck, because if you say fuck in a good way, you say fuck in a bad way, it is just the
Yeah.
most immense word. Yes,
It,
fuck.
it releases. Yes. Yeah. I
This is
like
the
it.
best show.
Um,
Thank you.
what profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Ooh, if I really got to attempt another profession, I guess botany.
Really?
Yes, I'm horrible at it. And I and I want to do it so badly because it's something I thought even when I was younger, when you're in school and they say, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" I said I wanted to be a
Yes.
singer. And they're like, "Well, no, like what real job do you want to have?" They actually said that. Like what real job? And I was like, "Okay, well, I guess I'll be a botanist slash singer." You know what I mean? They're like, "Yeah." And in
Yeah.
hindsight, maybe I should have, right? Then I'd have this side business, something else going on, because look, especially right now, you see a lot of singers that are incredible at being hosts, and doing things like that, like your show now, like Karen's show. I mean, she's so natural at it. And then you have people like Nicole Houston. Can't go on
Oh
enough
my
about her
God.
Purple Robe
Listen,
song series.
she is the most creative
Oh
human
my
being I
God.
know. Like, oh my God. That We Are the World took me out. It took me clean out. Nicole, I can't. And first of all, where do you get all those daggone wigs? Like, why do you have all those wigs?
Okay. She must have an arsenal in the back. I was like, this is the sickness. Let me get some of these wigs. I mean, I could really rock some of them. I like to do different hair and stuff. But I mean, wow, how creative and how entertaining. I mean, I just wait for it. I mean, and
Yeah.
they're all so good and so funny. And I don't know. My favorite is probably when she was Prince and the Revolution. She's all over.
Yeah.
It was just so silly. She was doing the eyes and the face. I mean, so committed. And then also the one from Frozen when she was outside as Olaf.
Yes.
I don't know, but I get so excited seeing the things like this. Like I mean, so many cool shows that are happening right now that wouldn't have happened pre-pandemic. You wouldn't have seen
Exactly.
that so much talent. As like talk show hosts. You know what I mean? And like Nicole, she was rapping, you know what I mean? She's rapping. I
Right.
mean, like, when else would you get to see something like this if it wasn't for what's happening right now? So, yes, this is the worst time, but also like an enlightening time, you know what I mean? Like, your eyes are open to new things and people are trying new things. It's pretty incredible. I don't know
Yeah.
if I was going to try anything new, I mean, like, maybe I would want to get back into I'm actually pretty good at comes to choreography and stuff like that and getting back into dance. So I saw that Mario Hines, he was thinking a little while back of doing a Zumba class online. I think he might have done it, I'm not sure, but I would love to do something like that. I know that's wild. You look at me, you don't see me as the epitome of, whatever this like
Listen,
physiologically, but I can move.
I
My
don't doubt
ankles will
it.
be dead after, and I'll have to soak them and wrap them in Bengay. But hey, I got Bengay for days. I'm ready. Does anybody want to come and do a dance with me? I mean, that would be awesome, y'all. I'd be rocking it. So yeah, I mean, maybe that'll be my new thing. Online dancing now.
Online
Elmo.
dancing with Latonia. Listen. Okay, so what profession other than your own would you never want to attempt?
Um, Never. I guess being a mechanic or
Mm,
anything that has to do with cars, because or anything that has to do with wheels. I mean, because I don't drive, I don't skate, I don't ride a bike. I mean, I don't even swim. I mean, I walk and occasionally jog until I run out of breath. But other than that, you know what I mean?
right,
Like anything with wheels, like if I had to be a race car driver, I had to be a mechanic or anything figuring out any sort of transport. That's a giant no for me. Like I mean, 100% no. Like I'd be like, no, I'm just gonna have to, I don't know, sing on the streets and be a one woman band or something because I can't when it comes to
right.
cars. That's a no.
Okay,
Anything with cars.
all right. Last question from this list. Um, if heaven exists, what would you like God to say to you when you get to the pearly gates?
What do I want him to say to me? I don't know. This is so silly. I'm like, okay, I walk up to the gates. I just want him to say, "You did great. You did the damn thing. You lived that life, girl. Come on in." You know, that's what I want to say. I want him to congratulate me because you know
Wow.
what's the truth? Life is hard, and I've made my life so much harder than it ever had to be. You know,
Yeah.
and the fact that I've self-sabotaged myself, you know, through 42 years of life and I still somehow am here. It's a miracle. So, you know, I guess God, if you're helping me along, fantastic. But when I get there, go ahead and pat me on the back a little bit because you've been throwing me some curveballs, man. It's been real. So yeah, I would like a job well done. And so I'll keep doing the job well enough, and hopefully I'll earn it.
Yes, indeed.
Amen.
Yes, indeed. I also, before I let you go, I wanted to publicly thank you because in December, when I started this fundraising campaign for the film that I'm working on, you were one of my many, many, many friends who came up out of their pockets and donated so generously and so kindly. And I just wanted to thank you on behalf of myself and the rest of my team for being so kind because, you know, you didn't have to do it. And December is tough. People got kids and it's holiday time, but you did that. And I'm so
Kenny,
appreciative.
oh my gosh, my pleasure. And I'm sure I speak for everybody else. I had to do it. We have to do this. It is so important, you know, to get this history out there. We need it. Okay, we need it stamped. You know what I mean? We need something concrete like this. We need everybody. We need the whole world to know about Black talent. We need them to know how far Black talent has carried the opera industry. We need people to know it. We need everybody to see it. You know, we need to hear from them about their lives, about what they've seen, what they've been through. Because in the end, it's not just, you know, about them being Black in this art form, is it? It's about people who've persevered and pushed through. You know, we
Yeah.
get to hear from them firsthand, not just a recording of, you know, an incredible recording of Balo, you know, not just this and that, firsthand
Yeah.
from the mouths of these people who've lived so hard the life, oh my God, who persevered, who opened the doors for us, Kenny. So how can
Yep.
we not contribute? How can we not give back to an effort like this? That more than anything is what we need, and it's worth every bit, every penny. So it's my pleasure, and it's everybody else's too. Believe me, you know it's very, very important. We're very proud. We're very proud of you, you know, for doing something like this. Absolutely, it's so necessary. So you know, you whatever you need, you let everybody know. You let me know, and you put it out there just the way you always do. You know, you keep rocking it. You work hard. We all see it. You know what I mean? And I was more than happy to give. I just can't wait to see the project, keep moving forward and getting bigger and
Oh,
bigger. So I'm really proud.
thank you, my
Mm.
love. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes.
Well, I have had you for like 2 hours. So
I've
I
enjoyed it,
wanted,
believe me, because I don't hang out with anybody but toddlers. So, yay, thank you.
I'm so glad you came on with me. And so before we go, is there anything that you wanted to leave the folks with tonight, be it advice or encouragement or whatever? Give them a piece of Latanya before we get out of here.
Let's see. I guess I'll say this, look, we can't ignore what's going on. I mean, we're having a rough time here in America, right? It's been really, really, really rough. So all I can do is tell you this. You have to keep singing and dancing and creating, having sex and eating beautiful food. Please live. Live, 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 live your life. Keep doing all that stuff anyway, regardless of whether or not you're getting paid. Regardless of how you can go outside around and have a pool party without a mask, regardless of any of that stuff. Please, please, please keep living your life. Don't stop. So that when you get up to those pearly gates, God's going to say to you too, all right, you did the damn thing. Job well done. Whatever you do, don't just sit there and be stunned. Don't wallow in the self pity of the pandemic. Don't wallow in the fact that you don't have any money. Don't wallow in anything right now. It's the worst thing you could possibly do, especially as we get into the colder months, right? So, look, keep creating, keep doing beautiful, creative things like everything I mentioned before, and then some. You know, that's what's going to keep us alive. That's how people have survived all these years before. Have to keep doing it, please. This world keeps turning, right? Every day,
It sure
constantly
does.
moving. Okay? So you need to do it too.
Thank you, my love. And thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody out there. Latanya, I adore you. Thanks for coming on with me and
Oh,
rocking
I
with
just love you,
me.
Kenny. Thank you so
I
much,
love you
man. You
too.
gotta, I was so glad you asked me to be on your show. So this was
Absolutely.
totally a blast.
And
Hmm.
so, everybody out there, next Monday, I'll be here with a panel of amazing women that are all mamas. Latoya Lane Washington is going to be on, the mama of twins, and Kirsten Piper Brown is going to be on, the mama of two boys, and my darling Indira Mahajan will be on, the mama of a baby girl. And so I want to celebrate three fabulous mamas on the show next week. So tune in next Monday at 7, and then tune in next Tuesday at 6 for Jesse Norman at 75, a celebration. You can get all the info at blackopera.film.com. And remember, wash your hands, wear your mask, and vote on November the 3rd. Thank you very much.
Amen.
Vote, 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 vote. Thank you so much, Latanya. I adore you. Don't sign off when
My
we go
pleasure.
offline. I got to touch you. But thanks, everybody. I love y'all.
Love
Bye.
y'all. Bye, y'all.